Look, you already know something feels off. You go through a normal week, nothing unusual, nothing crazy, and then you check your bank account and you're like, wait, how is my money gone? You didn't buy anything big. You didn't go on vacation. You didn't splurge on something irresponsible. You just lived. You bought a few coffees. You ordered takeout a couple times. You used a few apps that made life easier. You paid for your subscriptions, your delivery fees, your rideshares, your save time upgrades here and there. Completely normal stuff. And somehow your checking account looks like it survived a natural disaster. Here's the thing nobody ever tells you. You didn't overspend because you're irresponsible. You overspent because everything around you has been engineered to make spending effortless. You live in a world where convenience is the product and your money is the fuel. And the easier something feels, the more expensive it quietly becomes. We think convenience is this harmless little bonus that helps us optimize our life. But in reality, convenience is the single most expensive addiction most people have, and they don't even realize it. The modern economy is built on one simple equation: easy equals expensive. And the more friction they remove from your daily life, the more friction you feel in your bank account. Most people are drowning financially without ever making a single big mistake. They're just being nickel and dimed by 1,000 convenient decisions they barely even notice. And those tiny conveniences, they add up faster than almost anything else in your budget. Stay with me, because once you see how this actually works, you'll never look at easy the same way again. My name is Michael, and I help people understand money the way school never did. Not through boring formulas, not through shame, and definitely not through buzzwords. I show you what's actually going on behind the scenes, why your money keeps disappearing even when you think you're doing everything right. If you've ever felt confused, stressed, or annoyed about where your paycheck keeps going, this is the video you've been waiting for. Point 1. Convenience creates blind spending. Here's the thing. The more convenient a transaction is, the less your brain actually registers it as spending, and companies know this. They're not trying to make your life easier out of kindness. They're trying to remove every microsecond where you might hesitate. That hesitation is their enemy. Your friction is their lost revenue. So they eliminate it. One-click checkout, auto-renew by default, stored cards, tap to pay. Skip the cart, buy now. All of it is designed to bypass the part of your brain that normally says, wait, do I actually want this? Think about ordering food. Back in the day, you had to call the restaurant, listen to a human being breathe too loudly on the phone, repeat your order 3 times, hear the total, grab your keys, go pick it up, wait in line, pay, drive back. You felt every step. You had time to question whether you really needed that takeout or if you could just make something at home. Now, you're lying on your couch, your thumb twitches, and before you fully understand what happened, a $30 burrito is legally on its way to your house. And because it only took 5 seconds, it doesn't feel like spending. Your brain literally treats it like a non-event, but your bank account definitely remembers. And emotionally, that's the dangerous part. There's no sting, no moment of awareness. Just a growing list of $10, $15, $20 charges stacked so tightly together that the whole thing feels like a financial horror movie when you finally scroll through it. The punchline? If money leaves your account without you noticing, it's not convenience, it's a trap. Point 2. You're not paying for the thing, you're paying for the shortcut. Most modern pricing isn't about products anymore. It's about removing effort. People think they're paying for food, entertainment, errands, convenience stores, but really? They're paying to avoid minor inconvenience. Most modern pricing isn't even about the product anymore. It's about removing effort. Companies figured out something dangerous. People will pay almost anything to avoid even tiny amounts of inconvenience. We think we're buying food, entertainment, errands, a quick drink, whatever, but really, we're buying the ability to not be mildly uncomfortable for 10 seconds. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but watch your own behavior for 24 hours and you'll see how often it happens. Take convenience stores. The name literally tells you the scam up front. They're not promising good prices. They're promising you won't have to think. You run in because it's on your way, which is code for, I don't feel like dealing with a full store right now. And suddenly that $1 soda from the grocery store is $3. The $2 bag of chips is $5. The small snack you could have bought anywhere else becomes a premium item just because it was 5 steps from your car. Emotionally, it feels harmless because the difference is small. You're not spending an extra $50. You're spending an extra dollar here, $2 there, and your brain shrugs it off. But here's where it gets ugly. That little shortcut doesn't happen once a month. It happens constantly. Do it a few hundred times a year, which most people do without even noticing. And there's your missing raise. There's your savings. There's the vacation you can't afford. Point 3. Delivery is not a service, it's a lifestyle tax. Delivery apps have basically convinced us that waiting 30 minutes is an act of cruelty and that cooking at home is some kind of industrial labor normally reserved for Victorian factory workers. And they're more than happy to charge you for this emotional hardship. These apps don't sell food. They sell you the fantasy that you're too important, too exhausted, or too busy to interact with your own kitchen. Delivery apps have basically convinced us that waiting 30 minutes is an act of cruelty and that cooking at home is some kind of industrial labor normally reserved for Victorian factory workers. And they're more than happy to charge you for this emotional hardship. These apps don't sell food. They sell you the fantasy that you're too important, too exhausted, or too busy to interact with your own kitchen. So here's what happens. You open the app, you pick a $15 meal. No big deal. $15. Reasonable. Then the fun begins. There's the service fee, the delivery fee, the convenience fee, the mystery regulatory fee that nobody can actually explain, the tip, and the quietly inflated menu price that restaurants tack on just because they know you won't notice. Suddenly, your innocent $15 meal has transformed into $36 like it completed a hostile takeover of your budget. Emotionally, you justify it. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I deserve this. And honestly, you kind of do. Life is exhausting. But your bank account is looking at the fourth $36 meal this week like, hey, champ, maybe we chill? Because that's the trap. Delivery doesn't feel expensive in the moment. It feels like you're buying relief. But at scale, it's one of the fastest ways to quietly burn an extra $300 to $500 a month without ever making a big purchase. Point 4. Subscriptions are silent pickpockets. Here's where it gets crazy. Subscriptions were supposed to simplify everything. One payment, unlimited access, that was the dream. Instead, your wallet is now getting hammered with more recurring charges than a car dealership offers financing plans. You've got one app for storage because your phone keeps gaslighting you with that iCloud is full message, another for streaming, one for music, one for fitness classes you stopped taking after week 2, one for credit monitoring because apparently identity theft is just a Tuesday now. And then the sneaky ones, those zombie subscriptions you forgot you signed up for that quietly nibble $10 from your account every month like a clingy ex who refuses to move on. Emotionally, they feel harmless because each one is only a small payment. But stack 12 of those small payments across 12 months and congratulations, you just spent the price of a full vacation on apps you couldn't even name if someone held a flashlight to your face. The punchline? Subscriptions don't cost $10 a month, they cost $120 a year. And that's just the bait. Point 5. Rideshares turn everyday life into a luxury experience. Most people treat rideshares like they're normal transportation. But let's be honest, rideshares are just taxis with better branding and worse prices. You use them when you're in a rush, when it's raining, when parking seems inconvenient, when you're tired, and every time it feels justified until the end of the month when the statement shows you spent enough to lease a small vehicle. Emotionally, you feel efficient, but financially, you're spending luxury money on basic errands. You're not paying for a ride, you're paying to not deal with parking. Point 6. Convenience steals your time without you realizing. This is the part nobody talks about. Convenience feels like it saves time. It feels efficient. It feels smart. But most of the time, it does the exact opposite. Ordering delivery? You end up waiting 45 minutes for something you could have made faster than boiling water. Cooking pasta takes 3 minutes. Delivery takes the length of an entire therapy session, and you still feel guilty afterward. Using an app to outsource chores? You tell yourself it's efficient, but then you spend half an hour reading reviews from people named Laundry Guide Won'tite and comparing prices like you're buying a used car. Getting groceries delivered? You end up sitting around your house waiting for someone to bring you bananas. Like it's 1997 and you're expecting the cable guy to show up anytime between now and the next presidential election. Emotionally, it feels productive. You feel like you're optimizing your life. But really, you're just outsourcing basic tasks you're perfectly capable of doing and paying premium prices to be less involved in your own day. Point 7. Convenience normalizes overpaying. Most people don't pay premium prices because they're wealthy. They pay premium prices because convenience has slowly trained their brain to believe expensive is normal. A $20 meal magically turning into 40 on DoorDash? Totally normal. A $5 latte you could replicate at home for 50 cents? Normal. Paying extra for the time-saving, priority, or express version of everything, even when you're not in a hurry? Weirdly normal. We've reached a point where spending more isn't a luxury, it's just the default setting. Emotionally, we justify all of it by saying, well, everyone does it. As if the collective financial habits of millions of stressed, overspent adults are the gold standard we should be modeling our decisions on. Spoiler, they're not. Following the crowd financially has never made anyone wealthy. If anything, it's the fastest way to blend in with everyone else who's quietly wondering why their paycheck evaporates halfway through the month. Point 8. Easy payments make big mistakes invisible. Companies absolutely love easy payments. Buy now, pay later, monthly plans, micro fees, because they know you'll barely feel them leave your account. You're not buying something for $100. You're making 5 tiny $20 payments spread out over months, which somehow don't feel like spending at all. It's psychological anesthesia. They numb the financial pain so you don't notice the wound. Emotionally, these payments feel harmless, manageable. I can handle $20. And you can. That's the trap. You can handle $20 10 different times across 10 different purchases until you suddenly can't. Your financial stress doesn't smack you in the face. It sneaks up on you like a slow boil. You don't feel it rising until you're already drowning in commitments you barely remember agreeing to. The punchline? Small payments don't protect your budget. They disguise the damage. Point 9. Convenience hacks your brain's reward system. Convenience feels good. It's quick, it's smooth, it removes effort, and your brain absolutely loves that. Your brain is wired to choose the path of least resistance. That's biology, not bad habits. So every time something is one click, one tap, instant, or automated, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine like you just accomplished something, even though all you did was avoid getting off the couch. Companies know this. They spend billions, literally billions, studying how to turn your spending into a reward loop instead of a decision. Instant delivery, one-click checkout, tap to pay, autofill, all engineered to make the transaction feel satisfying instead of costly. It feels modern. It feels efficient. It feels like you're living your best life. Meanwhile, your bank account is quietly slipping into cardiac arrest every weekend. Emotionally, you tell yourself you're treating yourself. A little reward, a little luxury, a tiny hit of ease. But financially, you're treating yourself to debt, stress, and a monthly statement that looks like a crime scene. Point 10. Convenience turns wants into needs. This is where it gets dangerous, because somewhere along the way, what used to be luxuries quietly got rebranded as necessities. Fast shipping? Must have. Delivery? Totally normal. Paying extra to skip a line because waiting 12 minutes is now an ancient barbaric ritual? Basically expected. Buying pre-cut vegetables because using a knife is apparently beneath us? Just another Tuesday. None of these things were needs 10 years ago. Now they're treated like basic rights. And here's the creepy part. Nobody decided this. It just happened. Slowly. Silently. One convenience at a time. Companies didn't just make modern life easier. They normalized efficiency to the point where anything slightly inconvenient feels like suffering. The baseline shifted and we never stopped to ask, hold on, when did that become necessary? Emotionally, it feels like progress, like we're living in the future. Look at me. I get my groceries delivered, my coffee is ready before I walk in, and I don't even have to open my wallet to pay. It feels smart. It feels efficient. It feels like you're leveling up as a person, but really, it's lifestyle creep wearing a polished, minimalist UI. Every upgrade becomes the new default. Every shortcut becomes an expectation. Every convenience becomes a quiet bill you're too numb to notice. Point 11. The more convenient life gets, the more disconnected you become from your money. When everything becomes easy, you stop noticing the transactions entirely. Money stops feeling like money. It becomes this vague, invisible substance floating around in the background of your life. And when something becomes abstract, you lose control of it. That's the danger. Not overspending, losing awareness. Tap to pay? You don't even see the number. You just tap your card like you're casting a spell. Auto renew? You forgot you even had that subscription. Auto tip? You tip before you receive anything, so you don't question how much you tipped. Auto upgrade, your phone just politely informs you that you're all set without mentioning that you just committed to paying more. Auto everything. We've automated financial awareness right out of our lives. You're not making financial decisions anymore. You're drifting through them on autopilot like you're sleepwalking with your wallet open. No moment of hesitation, no moment of clarity, no pause long enough for your brain to say, hey, did we plan for this? And emotionally, you feel nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's the scariest part. Convenience numbs you. The swipe, the tap, the click, none of it hurts. It doesn't even register. Until it does. Until reality hits you like a rent bill you forgot was due. Until you check your bank account and your stomach drops. Until you scroll through your statement and it reads like a novel about poor impulse control. The truth is, you're not bad with money. You're not irresponsible. You're not failing. You're just living in a world perfectly engineered to make overspending effortless. A world where everything is optimized for speed, not savings. Comfort, not clarity. Ease, not awareness. And when everything is easy, everything becomes expensive. But once you see the game, you can finally decide how you want to play it. You don't need to eliminate convenience from your life. That's not realistic, and honestly, not necessary. You just need to stop using it by default. Use it intentionally, not emotionally. Ask yourself, is this convenience worth the premium, or am I just tired and impulsive? Because here's the part nobody tells you. You don't need more income to feel financially secure. You need more awareness. You need to stop paying for shortcuts that don't actually improve your life in any meaningful way. So slow down, cook more, plan ahead, unsubscribe, delete a few apps that tempt you. Drive yourself when you can. Shop yourself when you have the time. Choose when convenience is worth paying for and when the smarter choice is keeping your money. At the end of the day, you don't need to look rich. You need to stop being stressed.